So the time has finally come to get rid of your old ERP application and replace it with one intended to meet your business and technology needs now and into the future. Happily, you've chosen Infor Sightline ERP as the new application. Smart move there. A critical part of your project will be the process of migrating your information from your existing application to your new one. This short video will show you how Infor Sightline with the Mongoose development platform can completely transform the way we approach this task. Okay, so let's talk about our data conversion. What exactly are we going to bring over from the legacy system? Well, to start, everything that's active or that we'll absolutely need to operate on day one. Things like part numbers, customers, vendors, open orders, financial accounts, and balances. For sure we're going to want to bring that over. But what about all our historical data? Things like purchase order history, customer orders, shipments, receipts, shop floor transactions. We're likely talking about years and years worth of data. Here we've got a little more to think about. During our project, this discussion about what to do with our history data is pretty important. On the one hand, we need this stuff. Everything we've done is in here. What we bought, sold, what we made, what our costs were, on-time performance, and so on. We really need to keep this available somehow. On the other hand, bringing this data from the old system to the new one isn't always a breeze. Let's take a look at what our options are. A very common approach is to keep history around, but not to actually bring it into the new ERP system. Maybe that means we rely on access to physical records, file or printed reports. Usually means we need to keep the legacy system alive, usually for years, which comes with all the trouble of supporting the old technology as well as forcing users to work in two environments. Obviously, this adds cost to the project. And that increased productivity you're getting with the new system, you're going to be given some of it back. Okay, let's say we do bring over our history records into the new ERP. A big challenge here is the data usually doesn't line up so well, requiring a lot of effort to translate it, map it, scrub it, merge it, basically put it into a place that it wasn't designed to be. Of course, this increases the timeline of the project, and that's just if everything goes according to plan, which it usually doesn't. Between additional time, resources, and consulting costs, this can get pretty expensive. And what do you get? Well, you've kind of cluttered up your brand new shiny ERP system with old data, probably that's not of the highest caliber. And on top of that, if you think of it, the data isn't going to be all that relevant for very long as you move forward in the new system. When it comes to managing legacy data, historically, those have pretty much been our two choices, or maybe a combination of the two, but not much more. However, now by using Infor Mongoose platform that Sightline is built on, we have a new option. What if you really could select and bring over just the information you needed in a way that wouldn't immediately clutter up your new system, but you could still have everything in a single application, your new system of record. By doing this, save thousands or tens of thousands of dollars and accomplish it in days instead of months. Best of all, what if you could do this completely on your own? That'd be pretty cool, right? In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how you could do just that and at the same time make the process of migrating your history data look almost like magic. Let's start by taking a look at our old ERP application. The one I'm using here is just an example, and your application will probably have similar attributes. In our example, I'm going to want to bring over some of my past shop floor work order history. As we look at this item, it appears we've built this one frequently in the past. And there's some specific information here that I'm going to want to capture. Now, as I said earlier, I don't need to clutter the new system. I just need specific things like my work order number, my part number, how many I produced, whether it was linked to a sales order, and if so, who was the customer, and of course, how much did it cost to make. That's all I really need to capture here. Once you've identified what you need out of the legacy system, all you need to do is export it out to any number of different formats. We can work with pretty much anything. Now, let's get down to business and build your new history module in Infor Mongoose. The tool I'm going to use is called the New Data Maintenance Wizard. With a few clicks, this simple-to-use tool will do what it used to take programmers hours to do. It will automatically create the data structure, build the user interface, and create all the background programming necessary for me to navigate and use this new screen just as it was part of Sightline. In fact, everything I create in here will become embedded right into the Sightline application, just like every other module. It will even automatically upgrade when I choose to go to the next release. Here's what the wizard looks like, and it couldn't be more simple to use. We just give our new form a name. In this case, I'll call it AIT Work Order History. We can specify things like the type of form we'd like, or if we want to design it for a desktop, tablet, or smartphone. Then we're going to start adding the data components that we identified we wanted moved from the legacy system. In the wizard, we can specify the attributes of each field, or pick a predefined data type from the Sightline application so that things like field length, descriptions, decimal places, and the like will all be consistent with the rest of the application. We can also specify whether or not a certain field would be mandatory on a form. Keep in mind that you can create these forms or even modules in Sightline for anything that makes sense, not just read-only history data. Once we finish adding all the data fields that we want, we just have to finish the process and let the wizard do the rest. The result? A new Sightline form complete with all the data fields and attributes we specified in the wizard. Now, it was created with a default layout, but I can easily arrange the form and its components in any way I'd like. I simply go into design mode and make my changes. I could change the position, tab order, or even selectively hide or disable specific fields based on users or groups. In fact, it's completely integrated with the standard Sightline security features. Now that my new form is finished, we're ready to load data. If I wanted to, I could just start entering data manually, just like any other entry form in Sightline. But I'm probably not going to want to do that with all my history data. So let's undo this. And instead, I'd like to take a second to point out one of the distinctive features of the Sightline application, our multi-view user interface. When we created our new form, we actually created two forms at once. In virtually every Sightline form, we have the ability to work in the traditional tabular mode or in our grid mode, which is more like using an Excel spreadsheet and can be easier to work with for certain users or specific tasks. Notice that every field I created on our form is replicated in both the tabular and grid versions of the form. One of the outstanding features of the grid view in Sightline is the ability to copy and paste records directly into the application. Remember our work order history data? That was the reason why we're doing this all in the first place. Well, now that we've created a home for it in the new ERP, we can just copy this data and paste it right into Sightline. It really is that simple. I know I've taken a while to explain this, but to recap what's happened here, all this was done in just 2 steps. 1, we created the Sightline data structure and the form with our wizard, and 2, we copied and pasted our history into Sightline. That's it. We just converted our shop floor history so it's now accessible from a single system, our new system, and we literally did it in just a few minutes. Now that we have all our data in a single place, we can continue to use the Mongoose Toolset to make our history even more accessible. Let's take a look at our item master in Sightline and find a part, one that we've been making for years. Using the Mongoose design tool and with just a few mouse clicks, I've added a new button on my form called SystemX Work Order History. When I click that button, it will directly open our work order history form. And not only that, but it will filter on and display only the history I have for that particular part. Well, that's going to wrap it up. So thanks for watching, and I hope this was helpful in illustrating how you can save your company considerable time, resources, and expense by taking this completely new approach to migrating history data from your legacy applications. An approach made possible in Sightline by using Infor's Mongoose Toolset.